Derek, it's episode 24 of the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast. Thank goodness that kids are at school. It's the middle of a Monday. DBS, Custom Fabrication, and Handyman Services. I see you guys posting stuff on Getting Business. Michelle and Trey, we've got Michelle and I have a busy week out. We're going to do some mortgage stuff with True Lending up in Detroit this week, so we're knocking this out during the middle of the day so we can all get started with the rest of our day. Recovery, Schaefer family still going on?
It's still going. It's not going well, but it's going. One of these days we'll get some sleep.
We're probably going to have a shorter episode today because really the only thing that we have to talk about this week is the BUDDS Creek round of Pro Motocross. 2 rounds left. That was the second to last of the motocross portion. Great racing. We missed the 250 rider. RJ had to pull out because of his amazing fall at Unadilla the week before. So really not much amateur stuff to talk on because a lot of the amateur guys actually stepped up and went to Pro Motocross this week. So we had some introductions to the Pro Motocross world this week. We've got some great racing. And other than that, that's kind of the intro. What's going on in your world, man?
Busy. It's actually we actually got a weekend off. It was slow.
Yeah.
Everything was nice. We got some stuff done around the house, getting ready for next weekend. Back to racing.
Yeah, it's been kind of fun watching motocross on a Saturday, finishing it up on Sunday versus trying to knock it all out on Sunday night.
Yeah.
It's been kind of fun. But no, great racing. Let's start in the 250s because it's not the premier class, but it has been the premier racing. Although the 450s this week put on a show. So we had some names pop back in, but 250 class, from the gate drop, we had excitement in the first 250 moto. And we need to talk about, did the AMA screw Hayden Deegan?
No.
I understand rules are rules, but we had a huge crash. Shout out to HBI's rider, Hardy Munoz. He is home. He is recovering. We're not going to get into the medical stuff. He's fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
He concussed himself.
He took a gnarly dig, though. That was amazing.
Well, I've heard of facing a triple. I didn't realize facing the triple meant facing it before you ever took off.
Yeah, jumping it with your body.
Yes.
Because I thought RJ got ragdolled at Unadilla, but that Hardy took a hit. I reached out to Matt, and obviously no details. It's not our business, but he's okay.
Yeah,
he's
okay.
He's
back home.
He's back in Florida. Thank God, because I thought he was going to be seriously hurt.
And that is part of being on the Hardy train, is you go for those rides. He is a vibrant rider, but that one was a little more. We don't need that kind of vibrancy.
No, it was violent.
Yeah, that was violent. Yeah. Yes, but no. So race starts. What did you feel about the Justin Cooper? Hey, I see you, Hunter Lawrence, but I'm gonna bump you out of the way.
Hunter flinches on the gate.
Yep.
And yanks his clutch back in right when the gate drops, which we know Hunter's been having start problems as it is. So that didn't add to it. And then, Justin comes in on
that left-hander
on
over
the drop and just smokes him.
Oh.
That had to hurt.
That's a big hit.
I expected retaliation, but we know Hunter at this point is being as conservative as he can, just trying to manage the championship. And he should be well underway to getting it at this point. Unless something crazy happens, he could still lose it.
Yeah.
But then we got. I will tell you, I've never seen a total restart. Would they have 30 seconds left of
Before
the 15 minutes?
Yeah.
And I've never seen a full restart that late in the game.
No, I've actually never seen a full restart in a motocross race ever, and I feel like I've been watching for a long time, and I don't ever remember seeing that scenario. But they did have to helicopter Hardy out.
Yeah.
They helicoptered him out.
It was absolutely called for.
Yeah.
I mean, the Deegans have been throwing fits about everything, and but when it comes to that, it might have screwed your race up, but he was hurt. Hardy was hurt.
And it did screw Deegan's race up. But then they restarted, and then Deegan screwed his own race up.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And I like Deegan because I think he's good. I'm not a Deegan fan. I don't care one way or the other. Like he's another rider. Like he. Here's the deal. If you have to tell me to pick between Justin Cooper and Hayden Deegan, I'm probably going to watch Hayden Deegan because he's more. Justin Cooper may be the most vanilla motocross rider I've ever met in my life. Or seen. I haven't met him, but he is the most. He can win a race and be like, yeah, it was good. It was. The world stayed alive for me to win this race. And that's Justin Cooper. So I'd rather watch Hayden Deegan. But that being said, yes, he had an 8-second lead. He's dominating. It's fantastic. Freaking awesome. What are you doing going into the first corner, man?
Yeah, I don't know. It was a. I know he's going for a championship. Like, he's in the hunt just like everybody else is. But I guess you do see this a lot in the last few rounds of any series. It gets gnarly. You know, they start hitting each other. They start battling. But he probably shouldn't have hit that hard. I didn't pay attention close enough to see if he popped out of the rut like on accident. But I'm pretty sure he just straight drilled him.
Yeah, no, I think he like, hey, I gotta go.
I got to get him.
Yeah,
you know.
And then
I mean, it worked.
And they're having Deegan's on his own. Justin and Hunter were having a great personal battle. Shimoda pops in. Some of these guys, like, dude, there's some guys like there's some guys riding. It didn't matter if it was second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. There were battles.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the track that facilitates that because like you and I were talking, it's a little bit slower track, a lot of downhill, uphill type stuff.
And it's tight, and it's more like it's like an in-depth motocross track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not supercross by any means, but it's got those technical aspects to it in a way.
Two huge uphill triples. Two huge uphill triples.
And that track always looks awesome. It does. Where a lot of the other motocross tracks or the outdoors are so widespread, and there's times they get pretty boring. There's just straight stretches, ruts, and turns, and they're not. But this track it's much more technical than the rest of them.
I had a chance to watch an amateur race from there in the early 2000s, and honestly, it's a cool facility because everything's down. Like you can sit on top, and everything goes up and down, so you can literally sit on top and see everything.
Yep.
It's a cool track. So the first part of the 250 moto, it's going, and then they have that crash, and we got to restart, and that's where the wheels fell off for Deegan, and that's where I don't blame him. That's gonna sound bad. No, I'm not looking for views, but he came in. He had such a big lead. He came in so hot to the first corner, gets cross-roaded, hits front brake, whatever, tags, ping-pongs off somebody, and now he's 39th.
Well, even when he went down, so he rushed to his bike, and then he kind of just moseyed around because there was a bike tangled on his, and there was no rushing to yank his bike back out of there. I think that put him in straight despair at that point. And then I don't think he's well under pressure. So racing-wise, yes, but when he had a lead like that, so now he's totally distracted because he went down, and I don't want to say the words I want to say are not what I'm going to use.
You want to say temper tantrum.
Yeah, being crying like a little girl.
Yeah.
It's type of deal.
But he's 17 years old, and I want to bounce off this instead. I think he's handling the pressure of racing fine in that moment of being in the top. It's a different world to come from the back after something major has happened.
Yeah, or when if everything's going right, I think he's got the right attitude.
Yeah.
But when something goes wrong, like kicking his bike and throwing it on the ground at Unadilla, Yamaha, and if I was Star Yamaha, anybody on that team that runs the team whatsoever, and I seen that's a no-go.
Yeah.
We're going to sit down and have a chat, and then this race, I mean, he still throws a little tantrum. That's what it seemed like. I mean, it wasn't near like it was when his bike went down, but you could tell that. And then he tried, but he wasn't trying.
But let's do this. We've dug on him. Now let's give him props. He then put on a 15-minute charge because that's all they had left.
Yeah.
And climbed back up to get decent points.
Yeah, he finished 11th overall.
Yeah. I mean, there was only 39 riders because one was on a helicopter. But that's after being down. There was something wrong. The bike wouldn't either go in gear. Or something happened when, trying to get it recranked. So he's 15 seconds behind the last place guy. And he put on a charge. He even started pushing a little harder and fell again. But there is that frustration. So as much as we dig on him, I'm going to say, damn, man, good job. Like, had you probably been able to get up a little quicker, you may have gotten into the top 10. Yes, your race is screwed up, but championships are won on those screwed up races.
I think that restart helped a lot of these amateur, now pro riders who made their debut, because they just came from Loretta's where you're pushing 15, 20-minute motos.
Yes.
And they've now reset. They're a lot. I mean, they're younger. Deegan's younger too, but like these younger kids, they can reset in the 15 minutes that it took to reset. Where if I run 15 minutes and now I'm going back to the gate, like I'm exhausted.
Well, what's awesome
I got to do it again.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I even brought that up. Like, wait, these amateur guys that are coming pro, this is literally 2 races for them.
Yeah.
Like they just
did 2 motos, so they get an extra moto.
Yeah.
So I think that helped them a lot because we even had like Julian Beaumer who finished 9th overall.
Good intro.
Had it been, it was fantastic for his pro debut, but could he have done that in the 30 minutes? He's a good rider. He's a really good rider, but 30 minutes or 20 minutes straight, is that going to happen?
What did he do in the second moto? Because he was running up, and then he had a little bit of an issue.
I know what he finished overall. Yeah. I'm not sure.
He was up in the top 10 late in the second moto, but there was a fall off at the end, and I'm not sure if it was bike crash. I didn't get to research
I expected more out of Casey Cochran too. I think he went down as well.
Yeah, Casey Cochran may be the new. There's a player on the Lakers. I think he's the Lakers. They call him the Brow.
Yeah.
Casey Cochran may be that guy. He's a great kid, but you can see the youth in him. Like when he talks, his talking's fine. His face is like a child.
No, he's a young kid.
Yeah.
He's a small kid. I love his story though. Like I love his parents.
Yeah.
The military pilots, and then
the mechanic. His mom's the mechanic.
And their story to get in here, and that's fantastic. But there's a lot of hype around him too.
Yeah. But I'm glad that they're letting him get these last couple motocross in because I still think, according to what I had heard from Husqvarna, that he's actually going to do next year. He's not going pro, but maybe they're just letting him get in to see how he does. And the one that surprised me, because there's been hype, quiet hype, was Mark Finnis.
I haven't heard a whole lot about him. I totally forgot about him racing this weekend.
He's another prodigy of the Daniel Blair Orange Brigade group, and he's done some quiet stuff, but I kind of figure with his story that the tough outdoors would kind of fit him, and he wasn't. He was the lowest of the guys.
Yeah, I agree. But it is their pro debut, so Julian Beaumer come out rolling.
Yeah.
But like I said, that might change. So they got one more race, put them out there and see if they get a full moto. Then we'll see how it works with their overall. But
can you imagine? Can you imagine being Julian Beaumer and Casey Cochran and Mark Finnis, and you're like, okay, we want you to go out there and race with these top 40 guys. And by the way, you're going to do it for 35 minutes. Oh, and after these 2 races are done, then you're going back to your respective training areas, and you're going to start doing Supercross for the next 4 months. Yeah. Good luck. We'll see you in January, and let us know how it goes. Like, literally, here's 2 motocross races to finish up the summer, and then we don't want to see you until, I'm guessing, are they going to do anything with the as Combine Futures? Are they doing anything in the SMX playoffs?
I don't know.
That would be interesting if one of those races, those guys were in there to kind of give them that perspective.
Yeah, I don't, because it's so new. I honestly haven't looked into the playoffs a whole lot. I mean, I know where they're at, and how they're running it, I guess.
Yeah,
But I don't know.
Two motor format, 20
Yeah.
minutes.
I don't know about all the details.
Yeah.
So it's going to be cool to see for sure. I'm excited. I really want to go up to Charlotte and watch that one, but we'll see how that goes.
So I have a question for you. Justin Cooper, again, they take this invisible device off of his bike, and all of a sudden he wins 2 motos in a row. It's like, can you imagine that conversation? Why did we put this on? Did I say I wanted it on? Did you say I've just won 2 motos in a row because you take this device off my bike.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I should be angry or if that was a choice that he made on his own, or can you imagine, like, dude, look what I can do.
I think they now know not to do that.
Yeah. Or we need to test this a little further.
Or test it on somebody else,
Yeah.
not somebody that is championship qualified.
Yeah.
He might be one of their better riders, but
Give it to Max Volan. He's raced off-road when he comes.
Give it to somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody else. Or test it on the track during the week.
Yeah.
And don't test it in a race. So,
But, dude, great job. Another great race. Hunter does Hunter things.
yeah, he's got to work on them starts.
What's really funny is he has to. We're going to talk about that. Whatever his brother did in the second moto of the 450 class, we should all watch because it's damn near impossible to get a bike length lead on everybody.
Yeah.
Michael Lessie used to do it when he counted the gate down. But I don't think Jet's counting the gate. That reaction time, John Force would have been proud of that.
We did have to see Jet come through a pack,
Finally. And it was fun.
which is so abnormal. But obviously we expected the result. I knew he was going to come back through. Like the kid's absolutely dominating.
Yeah, but there were some good guys up top this week.
It was good racing though.
There was good racing up top, but he made it because that was JT's thing. JT and Wygant, they were talking about how tight it is and how hard it is to pass on this track. Jet started 8th or 9th and wins. And wins by more than he's won normally.
An awesome show by AP.
Oh.
He finally. I mean, that's AP in the outdoors. That's how he rides. I've expected that from him all season, especially with the stacked field that we didn't have.
Yeah.
But he's finally showing his colors. I mean, it has to be the end of the season.
I got an aesthetics question for AP though. Do you feel that people are going to start calling him Michael Bolton? The mullet out the back with the balding top, we're beginning to look like Michael Bolton.
I don't know. I don't know what he's going for there, but it works for him.
I mean,
yeehaw!
I appreciate it, but you can have a buzz. I mean, Morgan Wallen broke the internet by cutting off his mullet. So
broke a bunch of girls' hearts too.
Oh my God, because now he wears a hat. Oh my God, but no, first moto 250s, great racing. Hunter does what he needs to do. Deegan has a meltdown and then a great comeback, but a meltdown. I'm gonna say it was a meltdown. Like that was a meltdown. Justin Cooper keeps his hopes alive, and then we go to 450 Moto 1. By the way, how does no one end up in that damn pond off the start?
Luck.
I don't understand how that doesn't happen because the second moto, and I can't remember if it was 250, a whole bunch of guys did not turn left. They all turned right, and I'm like, keep it on there. I want to see because they're going in there.
It was straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody was pushing to that turn way too hard.
But no one, I don't think anybody went in because to me that would be a story.
Yeah. I don't know that anybody's ever really went in it.
I don't know.
But it's bound to happen.
Because that is an MXGP. That is the only MXGP start that Pro Motocross has, and that's because Buzz Creek, when they got the MXD in, they had to change the start to make it like an FIM start.
Yeah.
And they've never taken it away because that's not where the start used to be.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a terrible start. We all hate it, but it is what it is, and I think it's one of those, coming to this race, this is how this is going to be. And the 450s, Jet gets. I don't know what happened to Jet. I guess he started a little more outside than they wanted him to on the first moto.
Yeah, I don't remember what happened.
And he got pinched off.
It wasn't good.
No, but he's 8th or 9th. Adam Cianciarillo, man, he's alive.
Yeah.
And he rode good.
He was out there.
Yes, he rode good.
It's nice to see him out front. They did a nice little thing on him though. It's how he went from being this scrawny little kid that he was. He was a small kid
Yeah.
and then shot up to 6'3" or whatever he is now.
Yeah.
And having to relearn the bike and relearn how to ride because as a scrawny little kid, you're riding totally different than you are at 6'2", 6'3". So it was cool to highlight that. But it's got to be the struggle that he's been dealing with, plus the injuries that aren't helping anything. But it was nice to see him out front again.
We're missing our HBI guy. Masterpool's not getting the starts these days, so he's kind of getting shuffled back and then working his way up. Again, getting into the top 10 every moto.
Yeah, they still finished at 9th overall.
Yep, and he had great battles. Dylan Ferrandis made an appearance, but you said it was Barsha, Plessinger, Jet coming through the pack, seeing Cirillo hanging on. Great rides, and I really appreciate Ricky kind of saying, hey, I've been watching Adam for a while, and he's starting to ride again like we know Adam can ride. So, and I don't know if that's the wrist is getting better or he's getting more comfortable with it.
There's been a lot of downfalls
lately.
lately.
So, but this race, I think, had the most big names back. Is that right?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
I mean,
you added Barsha. Anderson made Anderson. And where did he come from in the first moto?
Well, overall, he's finished 3rd overall.
Yeah.
He finally gets a podium. I wouldn't say that we have more big names. We had Roxon in there one race, and now we have Barsha. So I guess they kind of just switched. But
Anderson joined.
Bigger names up front.
Dylan's making an appearance.
Yeah, making an appearance. Yeah.
And AP. So an AP, well, that's on the second moto, but those guys are just. And I don't know if there's a little, which we'll touch on at the end, a little MXD. Hey, I want to be on this team.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine AP in France? Oh my God, they would love him. It's like taking a Corvette to Le Mans.
I think he would do well too.
Oh yeah,
Extremely
it's a very slippery track. From everything I've heard, Erne is very slippery.
He's good at that though.
So's Barsha.
Slippy and mud. I mean, Barsha rode awesome this weekend. I didn't expect much out of him at all. I mean, the last weekend he loses a clutch, and he's not going to ride without a clutch. It's just not Barsha, so it was hard to decipher how he was doing. But then this weekend, he showed more Barsha in him. I think he rode well, like really well from coming off collarbone.
Yeah.
So,
got a question for you. They showed at the start of the first moto, Jet switched from the paddle to, I think it was the 34. And I don't think he switched to the paddle at the second moto. I don't think.
the track was it was getting hard. There's a lot of slick spots.
But BUDDS has been known as the most similar track to Florida.
Yeah.
Which, if I think of Florida, minus Gatorback and Dade City last weekend, you could pretty much run a paddle on almost every track in Florida.
Yeah.
That didn't seem like that. It didn't seem that torn up. Yes, there were ruts in the corners, but the track actually seemed a little more firm. It's like they didn't till it as deep. They got the corners because, boy, the ruts in the corners. The drone pilots this year are spot on. It is awesome, the drone. But did that make a difference, or did he just get a bad start?
I don't think it made a difference. I mean, the paddle tire on that track I don't think would have done well. I'm sure there's guys that ran them, but it got too firm, too hard, or slippy spots.
Especially coming out of some of the corners where they were missing ruts and they're sliding on the side.
Yeah, totally. It looked like flat track around some of it.
Yeah.
So,
but first moto, congratulations, Jet comes back, wins, and did you have any highlights from that? From 450, I just thought I actually thought this may have been one of the best 450 races of the year.
Yeah, there was actually racing. I mean, Sexton come up, and he was actually trailing Jet pretty hard. He did go down once, but there was racing. It wasn't just Jet out front. It was nice to see him kind of shut everybody up about what happens if he has to come from mid pack up. I mean, close enough to mid pack, and he still made his way right up through. So he kind of hushed all that BS. And
did Sexton have his problems? Was that was the first moto that he jumped? He fell twice, right? Like
I'm pretty sure it was
jumped
Moto
off
1.
the track, and
it's hard to keep track.
Yeah,
but there was like I said, there was actually racing, so that was really nice to see.
Yeah, it was good. And then we go to Moto 2. And I'll be damned if Hunter Lawrence can't just go win. How many times this year has Hunter Lawrence lost the first moto, finished third, second, whatever, and then goes out in the second moto and is like, hey, guys, this is mine.
Checks out.
This is
Yep.
mine. And Deegan did not get a good start. He had to come back through the pack. Justin Cooper, Shimoda again. This Shimoda guy, the fans love him.
He comes and goes.
Yeah, his English is getting like he's turning into the Roxon of Japan. Of people love him. He's kind of this rock star guy, and his English is starting to get really good. I loved it this weekend. He was like, yeah, they asked him the question, and he's like, yeah, thanks, and he just finished, and he just walked like,
Yeah.
I'm good, thanks.
He's not an interview guy.
No, he's not. He's
At
not.
all. They talk to him all the time, and he's real short and brief
Yep.
and gets out of there.
But
He just wants to ride.
Caden Braswell, a new HBI guy, I think he had some trouble in the second moto. He scored a point, didn't score a point. Their 250 team had a rough weekend on the HBI side.
Yeah.
But the racing 250 wise, they have been, as they say, hammer and tong all year on one another. This has been probably one of the most fun 250 seasons I've seen in a while. Because you don't know who's going to win.
I'm anxious for Supercross with those guys.
Because we're going to lose Hunter, and we're going to lose
Justin Cooper. But
so it's going to be a battle.
yeah, there's going to be the two top guys that are out there are now gone, so
Yeah.
it's a pretty even playing field. I think they all have competition for Deegan.
Yeah.
As long as if they're on, so it's going to be fun. It's
I got a name for you, though. Garrett Marchbanks has stated in interviews, yes, I want to ride 450 outdoors, but I have unfinished business in 250. You get rid of Hunter Lawrence and Justin Cooper. You got Deegan. You got Hampshire. You got Shimoda. Shimoda's on a different team next year. We're pretty sure. You've got Volan. You've got those. Where does Garrett fit in? Because he is mature. He's going to be on a same bike unless Club pulls the trigger and change brand, which we've heard rumors. What's he do? Can he accomplish those goals? Or are there still too many good people for him to?
I gotta wait till the season opens up so I can.
Are you turning into Ricky Carmichael? Just make a guess.
I can make a guess. I mean, I don't think he's gonna be top.
Okay, that's all I want.
Maybe
Ricky Carmichael will not make. I don't like making assumptions.
top tens. Oh, they're not assumptions. I want to see the kid ride. And
He's won.
yeah,
He's
won
on a 250.
But I've also seen guys take championships and they're barely getting top tens the next year. It's just
Yeah.
they can talk a big game until you got to see performance.
Yeah.
Every year these riders go from the top to the mid pack to they're all over the place with their training programs. Changing bikes always throws them off. It's
I think speaking of training programs, I think Phil Nicoletti, as much crap as everybody gets him, and everybody he's an asshole, but he actually loves the racing, loves the fans, loves his team. I think he's kind of that stabilizing rod at the Club MX. I think he keeps guys like Garrett in check and some of the young guys. Like he'll give you the updates on the KTM kids that are training there.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, this guy was keeping me, he was beating me. I think I kind of feel like his role after he's done is, and he will never say it because that'd be terrible, I wouldn't want to do it. I think he's going to kind of not be in the management role, but the overseer, like, I don't know if that'll be with FXR and he'll just kind of be at a track like Dan Truman kind of oversees things.
Almost like a performance supervisor.
Yeah, like I'm not going to be your trainer, but I'm going to make sure you do your shit.
Yeah.
You're not going to get to screw around because he keeps tabs on people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's really good at that. But now the 250 class, I'm interested to see how it works because their payoff in the SMX isn't nearly as big, which it shouldn't be because they have raced 7 less races overall.
It's not Premier.
Yeah, it's not Premier, but I'm interested to see how they handle, because for a lot of these young kids, dude, that's like what they raced in amateurs. A lot of these
Mm-hmm.
tracks are going to look like an amateur motocross track
For the
with
most
big
part.
jumps. Like, it's going to be a gator back for pros,
Yeah. This is
basically.
Daytona. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
all these guys that ride the RCSX
yeah.
at Daytona after, the week after, it's essentially going to be the exact same
Yeah.
thing, but
Probably a lot like their
three
training
of them.
tracks at home. I
Yeah.
mean, the long, because they're like, yeah, we got 2 3 minute lap times and we have this. And it's like, because they're just training. These tracks are going to be built that way. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm interested to see how that dynamic plays out. But let's jump to the 450 because actually this week, that last 450 moto was the jam this week. That
Yeah.
was a good race.
I honestly only seen about half of it because guy couldn't keep his eyes open.
Hey,
But
I'll tell you this. Jet hole shot, which you were awake for. I don't know where that came from. It was Michael Lessie-esque. And I saw Adam sneak on the inside. I'm like, ooh, it's going to be close. And then Jet pinches it off and then takes off. Before we go there, how about Jet's pass on AP? They acted like he meant to double slide coming into the rollers. I don't think he meant to double slide, drift, two-wheel drift. But yes, his bike skill is ridiculous.
mm-hmm. Oh,
So,
he can move a bike anywhere.
yeah. But let's say after the start, gets the start, second moto, takes off. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's see what happens. And he's tracking away. Sexton's doing his thing. And the race is over. They're even in the commenting booth like, race is over. And then all of a sudden it's like 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But we have this battle royale going on between AB and Barsha. And they are throwing down like they are racing at Oak Hill in the 65 class.
Yeah.
They are just jamming. But take it from there. Tell me what you saw.
I didn't see much of it. I'm telling you, it's. I remember the start and then I remember the end. That's about it. It was for me it was a rough weekend.
Oh my God, you Daytona 500.
I get a relaxing weekend and I over relaxed.
All right, so it was Dylan Ferrandis was going. Uh, there was some great racing. By the way, they introduced this camera, onboard camera with Phil, and I congratulate NBC for bringing out the technology. They also had one on the tail, but we never saw the tail camera. The kind of they use it in MotoGP where they look out the back and you can see the bikes.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see the lean angle and you could see the dirt coming. So the camera was facing Phil from the handlebars up to Phil. It was great, except when he would pull up on the bike, all you'd see is crotch.
Yeah,
They got
makes sense.
FXR got a great advertisement for their gear, their helmets and stuff, and you could see how much the body was moving. So that was awesome. I applaud the effort, but we still got to work on it.
It's hard to put cameras on bikes.
But we have we have cameras inside the visor of a Formula One driver,
Mm-hmm.
and we can't get a camera on a motocross bike.
Well, they got it so restricted on where you can put cameras anymore.
That's why I said we were laughing. Like, yeah, we have this technology. I'm like, yeah, we have this thing called GoPro. If you let the riders run GoPros, we could just tap into those again and
Mm-hmm.
see. But I understand, like on the front, you get hit with stuff and they have to clean them. So they've got to come up with that way. But like they have these little screens that, like in the race cars, and they roll across. So I'm sure they could come up with something. Appreciate it. I would have liked to seen the tail camera, but I applaud NBC for trying. They're trying. They're trying. Ricky said he ran one time, and it was like driving around with a tank on him. And now they're literally like these little cubes. And
Yep.
but Phil had a great race going with Norin. Ferrandis got Phil, and then Phil followed Ferrandis through trying to get Norin. That literally from 15th to 1st was a good race. And it's all over. It's all over. And I'm sure Jet had put it in management mode. I'm sure his landing gear was down. He was coming in, and all of a sudden it's 2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And he screwed up a couple times, and it was a half a second. And then I think it was like, I can handle this pressure. I will show you. He didn't pull away, but there was no chance Sexton was ever passing him. Ever.
I don't think. I mean, he was they let it on to be a good charge, which it was a good charge. I mean, but Jet also screwed up.
Twice. Came
Yeah.
out of the corner, slid twice. I will tell you, Weege, you are a genius. I knew who won the race when I watched it Sunday evening. I
Mm-hmm.
knew who won, and I was excited. I got excited watching, and I already knew who won. And I'm like, Weege, you did your job. I watched a taped race,
Well,
and I was excited.
I think even if Sexton would have got him, I don't think it would have lasted. Now, had he got him, I mean, it was a battle right down to
Yeah.
the finish.
Yeah.
But had he got him previous lap or 2 laps to go, it wouldn't. I don't think it would have stuck.
Okay, how hard is it though? Jet's eased down. Like I said, he had his landing gear down. The jet joke there. Sexton comes on. Sexton's continually pushing. How hard is it for a rider to wick it back up? Because he gained 2 seconds a lap on him for like 3 laps.
Mm-hmm.
So that means Jet was going 2 seconds a lap slower, just cruising. Then all of a sudden, you have to pick up your pace. I feel like that's very difficult.
For somebody in an amateur level, yes. For at their level, it's hard to even decipher the level that they're on. But I think if Jet needs to pick it up for 2 more laps, I don't see an issue. Like, I'm pretty sure that he could probably hammer down if he needed to.
So their comfort zone doesn't become that comfortable. Like I get into a comfort zone, and it's very hard for me to then wick it back up.
Get out of that comfort zone again. At the end of a race, it's way more difficult compared to the beginning of the race. You could just charge.
Yeah.
Say you get like 2 laps in, and then you're now comfortable with the track, you're comfortable with the conditions, and then you can lay the hammer down. So by the time you start managing, you get into that steady heart rate, and so you're right. To get it back up for somebody like me would be difficult.
Yeah.
But if you stay in that zone long enough, it's almost like you're regenerating. So I think for him it would probably be nothing to pick it back up and go, especially at his fitness is extreme.
Yeah.
It's out of this world. But then you're also battling Sexton, who I think's on the exact same level.
Yeah.
So riding wise, probably not, but fitness, I would imagine they almost look identical on a bike.
Yeah.
If you would,
Sexton's head moves a little bit more.
yeah, if you would swap their gear, you would probably have trouble deciphering who was who, as far as finesse.
And that was funny. I was watching Adam, and I was watching Jet. And Adam has the older school, kind of slopey back, over the top. And Jet's back is so damn vertical.
He's just sitting there.
Yeah.
That's what it looks
It's
like.
crazy. It's like he's literally vertical, and he leans the whole, like there's no arch. It's just the body goes, the body straight up.
The bike's doing the work.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I wanted to ask you this too. They were talking about, this is one thing Michelle and I were talking about. And I don't think a lot of people, so motocross racers watch motocross. We're all begging for people to embrace the sport. I go to a NASCAR race at Watkins Glen this weekend. It's a road course. Yes, the track gets rubber on it. The lines change. You can brake harder because you have more traction. You're looking for paint because there's more track. So on and so forth. The motocross track, literally, from the first lap to the 8th lap, changes how you race the track. For instance, they cross the start and finish line. They do those couple things. They come up. That hill, that single where Justin Cooper obliterated Hunter in the first moto, they were jumping that hill down into the valley, taking the left. By the end of the second moto in the 450s, there was a braking bump. They were jumping over the single, downsiding it, and then going into the corner. Ricky touched on it for 3 seconds. And I looked at Michelle and I said, this is what they need to talk. Like, the track changes. Like,
Every lap.
people, they're not racing the same track. These guys are so good. They are making changes to their race in the middle of the race. It's not like you have to come in here, you have to brake at 300 feet for 35 laps. No, you you might break at 300 feet, but there's going to be a braking bump. If there's a jump, you might jump at 300 feet and then corner at 150 where you were turning 300 feet before. And that's the part to me that I think people would find interesting of, well, why did they start on the outside, now they're on the inside, or vice versa? Or
it's the split-second decisions that separates this sport from everybody else. Yeah, in NASCAR or whatever, you're going to make split-second decisions too, but they're not. You're still on the same course all the time, and it's never really changing. It's groove, hard pavement.
Yeah,
it's
the groove may change some based on rubbering and that kind of stuff, or debris.
Yeah, but 2-foot deep ruts are
Yeah.
are not popping up out of nowhere, or a braking bump that is now turned into a double is something that sets this apart from everything else.
And I think that actually is an interesting aspect that people, because I think a lot of people look at it and go, well, they're not doing anything. The bike's doing all the work. That fill cam actually showed how much the body's.
It also takes a certain
abused.
person to see that the track has changed.
Yeah.
So the average person that doesn't watch the sport then looks at it, it just looks like dirt bikes riding all over the place, and that's how you race. But it's not.
Yeah.
It's so technical and so precise that if it's not precise, Hardy Munoz. I mean, and when you get out of that precision and something happens.
Yeah. How many times from qualifying to practice to the first moto had he hit that same jump?
Yeah.
And then something goes wrong, the front end tucks, and he's bye-bye.
It takes a split second.
Yeah.
Split second decisions. Split second can totally destroy, end your career.
Well, it's like, I think it was, I can't remember who, one of the guys overjumped the triple that they flatland and make the left. And when he landed, he literally bounced out, like missed the rut because he hit so hard. He was going so fast. And it's like that timing of you need to be in this gear, this RPM, and then when you land, you have to lean to the left so you can make this corner. But if you just miss that a little bit, oh, by the way, you can go straight for 20 feet, jump over this berm, come back onto the track, and, oh, you've lost 5 seconds.
Yeah, and when you're jumping it that fast, you're hoping that the turns are still the same when you get down, because there was one of them riders jumped, and it might have been Sexton. He hit, and the bike stopped.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was Sexton.
Yeah.
Like, it probably hit that same jump, the exact same spot every time, but that spot got soft, and it broke, swallowed the bike.
Yeah, it broke through, and all of a sudden, ooh.
Yeah.
But
that's what we deal with, that 99.9% of these other sports don't deal with at all.
And I wish that's the part that, and I know I'm preaching to the choir because there's no motocross guys that aren't watching this, but that's the part that I wish, like, if you could better explain that as the person who races, whether you're the amateur guy, a pro, a team owner, a fan, that's where I wish you could explain. Like Dade City last weekend. Dade City was a great example of, this is how this track normally is. Oh, wait. I've never seen this track. See those marbles? That's marbly. This means this is slippery.
Yeah, that track went straight from a sand track, as usual, and it was in the best shape that I've ever seen it. Even Randy was like, I've never seen this track this good. And then it went from that to concrete.
Yeah.
It's never changing. The elements change.
Yeah.
Every lap.
So that's my wish of those of us that enjoy the sport, love the sport, talk about the sport. I wish that we could better explain that to the layperson, because I think that's where, if I take my kid to the basketball court doesn't really change. The soccer pitch, maybe it gets a few nicks in it and stuff, but it doesn't really change. Yes, in football, the weather can change and different things, but that track is literally, you come around corner one, the next time you come around, that line may not be there. Mm-hmm. And you have to see that. That's what you and I, one, our skill level, but two, they see things so far ahead.
Yeah.
They're not looking here, they're looking out there.
No, and you're always looking out.
Yeah.
For the most part, if you're a rider of any sort, that's what I try to teach my kids. You don't look down, look out.
But BUDDS Creek put on a show. I think great race. A few years ago there was a chance that track was going away, and honestly, I think it put on one of the best nationals of the year. Interested to see what Ironman's going to be. I can't wait for the overhead shots of Ironman. It's going to be packed.
Oh, yeah.
It's summertime in Indiana.
It's the last race.
Yeah.
It'll be a good one.
There's going to be a crowning of a champion. There's going to be celebrations. It's going to be exciting. Then they get a week off, and then it's 3 weeks of grind to go on.
And I'm excited. I'm really excited for this.
I'm very excited because A, it's more racing, but B, I'm curious, very curious
Mm-hmm.
of what it's going to look like, what that payout's going to look like. And I mean, there's rumors going around that the payouts actually aren't going to the riders or going to the team, and I'm like, I think all that's figured out. It's going to be fine. I think it's going to be fine.
Beyond our knowledge.
Yeah, it's going to be. But we do have a few things we need to touch on. We touched on the Deegan thing a little bit. I think Deegan's a great rider. I won't say great. I think he's a very good rider who has the potential to be great. He's 17 years old. Yes, we watched Jet, and he did his thing, and we watched James Stewart. We all mature at different levels. His skill set on a bike is going to help him. There's a little maturation process. I also want to ask this. How long does Dad stay so involved? I know dads are involved, but you don't see Chase Sexton's dad at the gate. You don't see Tomac's dad at the gate.
No, I think that it may get to a point that if he stays with Star, that they shut it down a little bit. Now, right now, he's the face of it because he's Brian Deegan, but
He's got very white teeth too.
I've noticed that he's. Yeah, well, we're not getting in there. I noticed that Brian has seemed to calm down. I mean, he's still very outspoken, but I think that he's calmed down a little bit. I think the team has kind of put him more in his place. So Dazzy is a prime example of what the Lawrences. He's with the team. He's not with his kids. Yeah. Where Brian is the opposite. It's about his kid, not about the team. So, and I think that's where the two kind of separate, because Dazzy is a major part of that team, but he acts as a worker for the team and not just for his kids.
Yeah.
So, I think Star Yamaha's probably put some brakes on Brian, and I think if they don't put the brakes on the whole way and turn him into that role, then you'll probably see him start dissipating. I mean, he's always going to be there.
Yeah.
And they're always going to interview him because of who he is.
Yeah.
But
well, he's earned that right. I mean, he is a name. He brings people to our sport.
Yeah.
But it's just like, dude, your kid is doing really well. Like, let him
be himself.
You don't have to go to the line. He's going to the line with him.
Yeah, where that's the mechanic's job.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so that I want to touch on that. I want to touch a little bit on Motocross of Nations. I don't see Sexton going because he's switching brands. He would be our number one.
I seen a video of him this week over at the KTM truck,
hanging out,
talking to all them guys, and I think somebody made a joke about it, just getting prepared for his new brand or something like that.
But I will say how impressive. They did an interview with Lars last weekend about how much time they're spending with Chase Sexton, testing. He's leaving. And they are spending equal amount of time.
Maybe they're going to throw us for a loop.
Yeah.
Maybe it's... I mean, he came back on Honda, and we didn't think that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, he really had nothing to come back for. Jet was going to take it. So, I mean, we speculated that Jet was going to take it. It was pretty obvious. But maybe they're going to throw everybody for a loop, and Sexton's already back on Honda, and they're keeping it hush-hush.
But it's scary because Australia is going to have a damn good team. Hunter, Jet, and Jay Wilson maybe for them. America, so Chase, if he switches brands, we've already lost Cooper Webb. He's going to switch brands. Now, I heard he's going to be riding SMX. I don't know how or who for, but I heard he's going to be riding SMX. Interested to see if that'll be on Yamaha or KTM, or maybe he'll borrow one of Kenny's yellow bikes and ride it for...
I don't see that happening.
Oh, yeah, they can't be best friends. Never mind. That was a bad... Sorry. But then we go to... Next in line would be... You got Barsha, AP...
Talks about Barsha going.
Talks about Barsha possibly maybe riding a 250, but wouldn't you just put Justin Cooper on a 250? He's the next best...
Some of this stuff always, when it comes to nations, there's always some goofy things that go on that you wouldn't expect.
But people are complaining. The people who hate Deegan are complaining because there's rumors that he's not going to go, but he's going to go race in Australia because Duff's made some ticket purchases to go to Australia. Dude, I don't care. As Steve Mathis said, they make no money. It's hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's his first year as a pro. Why, if he doesn't want to go, but he has a chance to go make, I don't know, $250,000 racing in Australia? Okay, like, go. It's your off season.
Yeah.
So, I'm just curious as to who we put on. Who do we have? I don't know who would go for America. AP would love to go. Barsha would love to go. We have to have a 250 rider. So, AP can't ride a 250. Barsha would destroy one. I mean, we'd all love to see him on a 250.
He'd smoke it.
Yeah, we'd all love to see him. But then Justin Cooper, unless he's switching teams, we don't know what he's actually doing next year. He says he's on a 450. We just don't know where. I think it's kind of like, okay, who's riding for it?
Who's supposed to announce
who's riding
next
for
weekend, right?
They're supposed to, but Ricky Carmichael brought up a good thing. Why are we rushing?
Yeah.
Let's see how some of this SMX stuff plays out. Why do we rush? We know what Erne is going to look like. We know that track. Why don't we take the best 3 riders on that surface
Mm-hmm.
and let them? Why do we have to rush?
See what happens.
Yeah.
They'll let it play out, and
I hope so. I hope they don't make an announcement next week. That would be awesome.
I have a feeling they're going to.
I know, but it would be cool not to.
Yeah.
It would be like,
Wind it right out till like the last couple weeks.
Because I think you have to do it 30 days before the race.
Yeah.
Let's take some time. Let's see what happens. So, but no, that's about it. There's not a lot going on. We got 1 round left. 250 still has some championship implications, like you said early on. Unless Hunter goes and shits the bed, he should.
Bike could die again.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not over.
No, but he's going to have to ride, and I'm guessing there's going to be a blue army of guys doing everything they can next weekend to cause him trouble.
Happening.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be a good one, regardless of the outcome. Yeah. I mean, the outcome's pretty well speculated, but it could change.
Well, we got Dade City coming up this weekend.
Speaking of amateurs, Minios opened up their full hookup camping last week. Sold out in hours.
Really?
Fully sold out.
It's a lot of spots.
Yeah. It was supposed to open up September 1st.
And they went ahead
and it opened up the 15th of August. And none of us knew that. And they said they put it on their story on Facebook or, one of the social media platforms, but not many people look at stories.
Yeah.
So we all missed it. And now, they sold out in hours.
Wow.
Gone. So Minios is stacked full this year.
If you are bored and you're not a motocross fan and you're looking for something fun to do the week of Thanksgiving, just go to Newberry, right outside of Gainesville. Go to Gatorback Motocross Park, and you will understand how big amateur motocross is.
Yeah. We got the Winter AMs coming up.
Yep.
So there's
some good racing.
Those start mid-September. So there's a lot of racing coming.
I'm gonna try to get out and cover some. You'll always be at Dade City. I'm gonna try to figure out, because I know most of the state series the summer series have kind of wrapped up. They're wrapping up, and we get into the Winter AMs and the Gold Cups and the different things that are happening. So I'm gonna try. You're still working on a few things. We're gonna get another guest here soon, and we'll see. But yep, that's about all I got for this week. It was good racing. Good racing. As a fan of racing, it was good racing this weekend.
Yeah.
As a fan of sleeping, you had a good rest. Listening to dirt bikes.
Somewhat, yeah. The dirt bikes usually they never put me to sleep. I'm always in it, but the calming relaxation of dirt bikes put me to sleep this week.
Well deserved. But time to get back to work.
So I'm right back to the grind.
All right. Well, for Derek Schaefer with DBS Fabrication and Handyman Services, I am Trey Heath with Michelle and Trey Real Estate. I'm off to Detroit for a couple days for some business and a little bit of relaxation. This has been episode 24 of the Beyond the Curve, the MX podcast, and we will see you next week for the last round of Pro Motocross. Bye-bye.